Peace. Good morning. I don't know what happened. It's like the live came on, and the live just disappeared. Um, yeah, don't ask me because I don't know. All right, so today is Friday. Let me turn the headphones up because it sounds like it's low. Um, it's Friday. Good morning to you. Friday, November the 18th. We made it. For those who can't wait for the weekend, you are here. You are live and direct, live and well. And I appreciate you for being here, like always. As you come into the room, I say good morning to you. And in response, I would love to have good morning to come back. Peace. Good morning, Miss Queenie. How are you? Oh, Gems. Today she's Gems. Peace. Good morning, Miss Gems. How are you doing? Um, I hope your week has been a great week for you, and I hope you close out the week just as strong as you started your week. As well, I did send you a reply to your email that you put into the chat, so just waiting on you to reply so we can get Queenie on, so we can hear the gems that she can drop, where we can co-host or bring her on as a guest to come on sometime next week. So the floor is yours. The ball is in your court, waiting for you to roll the ball back. Give me a good date and time. Send me a photo so we can create the graphics, so we can then market you coming on to the platform on Consistency as Currency to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about that day. So waiting on you, madam. The ball is swinging your way. All right. We're gonna close this week off real strong with start with grace. And let me put this into a caption. Start with grace, because I just want to make sure that's not it. I just want to make sure everybody know what we're talking about when they come into the room. We're talking about start with grace. I should put a question like, no, I'm not gonna put a question. I'm gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna leave it as is. Start with grace. But I'm gonna ask you a question. Have you ever given yourself grace? Like, for real, for real. Have you ever forward yourself grace in the same or with the same opportunity? Peace. Good morning, Miss DJ. Long time from Hewitt. Have you ever forwarded yourself the same type of grace that you have forwarded everybody else? That's a for real question that only those who feel like just being honest and transparent this morning is really going to answer. Have you, where the caption go? Have you forwarded yourself the same grace that you have forwarded everybody else? Like, that's a for real question. Okay. Jim said she had to force it. Miss DJ said, of course not. So for everybody else that's watching who have yet to answer that from a real perspective, Miss Tori said, I think I'm harder on myself than I am on others. We're going to be talking about that today. And again, that's the question. You know what? I'm gonna put that as a caption, because that's a deep question. That's a deep question. Have you forward yourself the same grace as you give everyone else? That's the question of the day. There it go. Bam. Have you forward yourself the same grace as you give to what in the world? Everyone else. I probably should do it because some of y'all talk like that. Everyone else. You know what? I'm going to leave it. I'm not perfect and neither are you. We're going to talk in this imperfect language today. Everyone else. Okay, Miss Weston, good morning to you. Have you forwarded yourself the same grace as you give to everyone else? Most are. We refuse to give ourselves a break, a second or a third chance. True. That's true. All right, Miss Weston, the question is yours. As you see, I'm waiting for your answer. Have you forwarded yourself the same grace as you give to everybody else, to everyone else? So let's jump. Make sure y'all share this because this is going to be deep. This conversation is going to be deep. This is going to be so transparent that I want you to be so honest with yourself. So at the end of this conversation, you have no other option but to look at you and to ask you more questions for you to learn more about how you think. Because you are just as important. You are just as important. And when it says as important, that doesn't mean that you're not important or that someone is more important than you, but you are just as important and you deserve it. All right, so let's go ahead and just let's go ahead and jump, right? Bam, switch this up. Put the word grace inside the chat. Grace. 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 All right, for those who are new to the chat, well, new to the platform, I see a couple of new names. I see some people who's been out absent, who has taken a sabbatical on the platform. Oh, let me go back before we start. Like always, today is Friday, so I'm gonna go ahead and tap into the audience and give the thanks before we jump into it. All right, so for the audience of people that have listened on the podcast platform, India, we say thank you. South Africa, we say thank you. Germany, like these are the international countries. Germany, we say thank you. Italy, thank you. Nigeria, thank you. Puerto Rico, thank you. United Kingdom, thank you. Kenya, thank you. Canada, South Korea, thank you. Indonesia, Singapore, thank you. France, thank you. Pakistan, thank you. Russia, thank you. Netherlands, thank you. Australia, thank you. Algeria, Saudi Arabia, thank you. Nepal, I think that's a new one. Thank you. Morocco, thank you. Mexico, New Zealand, thank you. Ireland, Turkey, Slovenia, thank you. Libya, thank you. Dominican Republic, thank you. Austria, thank you. U.S. Virgin Islands, thank you. Thailand, thank you. Ethiopia, thank you. Malaysia, thank you. Belgium, thank you. Philippines, thank you. Now, I've never heard of this country. I'm gonna have to Google this, and some of y'all probably have heard of it. Some of you may not. Uh, Lativa, I don't know. Latvia. Wherever that is, I'm gonna say thank you because you're gonna make me research like where is that country at. Latvia. Thank you. The largest distribution of listeners is coming from Apple Podcasts. So if you have an iPhone and you listen to Apple Podcasts, go ahead and search "Consistency is Currency," and you're able to tap in because Apple Podcasts has the largest listening and web browser. That's just people searching it online and finding it and listening. Spotify comes third, then Google Podcasts comes next, and the number one ranking episode that we have right now is episode number 98. Goes all the way back to March. That podcast title is Nothing Comes from Everything. Everything Comes from Nothing. That's the number one listen podcast, episode on this podcast platform. So I just wanted to start with that before we jump into Start with Grace. Bam. First definition. All right. So when you listen to this definition, we give you inversions. If I say red over white, pay attention to the words that are in red. If I say white over red, pay attention to the words that are in white. And then being that this is an interactive platform, how you see it, I want you to define it and how it resonates with you. So if I say red over white, look at what's red and then extract your own definition on how you define it. All right, cool. You can do that. Yes, no, maybe so. All right, here we go. All right, the very first definition is grace. It says, do honor or credit to someone or something, that's in quotation, someone or something by one's presence. Do honor or credit to by one's presence. And the inversion that I want you to pay attention to is white over red, which is honor or credit by one's presence. Remember, we're talking about start with grace. Honor or credit by one's presence. Like, your presence is worth the honor, like for you. Like, you should be happy when you do things. Like, you should give yourself credit for the things that you've started. Like, you're deserving of it because you give it to a lot of other people. Like, when you are around somebody else or someone that you have given grace to, you're honoring their presence. Like, oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. Blah 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 blah. But what about you thanking you? Like, I'm 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 happy for all the things that I've learned about myself. Like, I honor the lessons that I've learned. I've honored the pain. I can acknowledge the pain that I have gone through, and I'm honored that I'm I'm alive to tell the story. Right? That's taking your small victories and honoring the presence that you're in right now, because it came from somewhere, giving you credit for the things that you have done. Credit by one's presence. Like, your presence is worthy of your honor. Your victories are worthy of your honor. Start with grace. Start with you. Understand that you are just as victorious as everybody that you want to be victorious. And the second definition of grace is be an attractive, be an attractive presence in or on adorn. And the inversion that I want you to pay attention to is red over white. Be an attractive presence or adorn. Like, be happy being around you. Be happy being around you. A lot of times that can be a hard. That's like somebody saying, "Well, oh, I don't know how to go out to eat by myself," or I don't know how to do things by myself, or I don't know how to uh, be alone. Like, be attractive to you. Like, you can be attractive to you and be okay without you having to worry about what somebody else is going to say about you. And it's okay. But you're going to have to be okay with that. You're going to have to start to give yourself grace in being able to be okay in your own space and be adorned by the victories that you have in being able to be in your own space and be present for you and be okay with showing up for you like you do for everybody else. Like, have you showed up for you this year like you may have showed up for everybody else? That's a real question. Like, put that inside the chat. Like, we have the proposed question right there, but answer this new question. Have you showed up for you like you showed up for everybody else? Have you? Have you adorned the who that you are? Have you adorned and have you been as attractive to you as you've been a presence to everybody else? That can be your aha moment. Be like, man, I need to focus like on my own attractive victories. I need to understand that I can win just as much as I want you to win. But being attractive to my own presence, being attractive to when I'm in the room and it's just me, and be like, "Ooh, you look nice today." And be like, okay, I see you. I see, like, for those that's in school or whatever, I see you. Like, your grade looks good, right? Success looks good on you, right? That smile looks good on you. Happy looks good on you. Just like grace can look good on you. But you have to start with grace. And the next definition of grace is a charming quality or being polite and pleasant, or willingness to be fair and forgive. You already know which one I'm going with. Red over white is a willingness to be fair and forgive. Like, have you forgiven you? If you haven't forgiven you, then take a step back. And then the next time you take a step forward, start with grace. And have the willingness, the wherewithal, the tendency to be fair to you as you are to everyone else. The willingness to forgive you as you are to forgive everyone else, or to forgive you as much as you have been forgiving to everyone else. I get it. A lot of people say, I'm my toughest critic. Like, okay, so when are you going to be your greatest inspiration? You can talk tough and talk bad and saying you the toughest critic to your own self, but when are you going to give yourself the same grace as you forward everybody else? Don't you know you need the willingness to heal for you, just like you need the willingness to forgive someone else? The willingness to be fair and to forgive. So let's look at the word willingness. Let's break that down real quick. So if we're talking about willingness, that means we're talking about having that internal strength, right? The internal strength, because if I'm talking about your will, that's the power, the wherewithal, the with inside of you. Do you have the power to be fair to you? And do you have the power, or have you been giving the power to forgive you? Yeah, I know you've had plans for yourself this year, and it's already in November and it's getting close to December, and you're about to say Happy New Year all over again and begin to draft up these vision boards that you had the same vision for the past 5 years, and your vision board has looked the same for the past 5 years, but you're not seeing it for what it is because you are seeing it for what everybody else is doing. But when do you give yourself grace to be fair to you and to begin to forgive you in order for you to have your vision to be as clear as it is as you have and you see for everybody else? It only happens when you are being fair to you and you have begun the process of forgiving you. And then when you are fair to you and you begin to forgive you, that next step that you take, it starts with grace. So what is grace? Grace is an enabling power, right? It's an enabling power. It's just like you calling on a bill collector or whatever and say, I want to pay my bill on what's today? 18. I want to pay my bill on the 30th when I get paid. You're asking for a grace period. It enables you to pay it later. It empowers you to know that you have time. It empowers you to know that you can do this at a later date. But what if you give yourself that same type of grace, that empowering grace, that enabling grace, to say that I'm not perfect, to say that I know I'm not perfect, but I'm working, I'm trying, I'm developing, I'm still doing it again. I'm sacrificing, I'm making it work. Don't you know the same grace as you give to someone else that allows you to be the enabled recipient? When are you going to be the recipient of your own grace? You clap it up for everybody else. You smile and you happy for everybody else. You give gifts to everybody else. But when do you start with grace? Because starting with grace is to choose to treat yourself kind and to treat yourself with goodwill. But I want you to also look at starting with grace can actually probably be the greatest gift that you can ever give yourself. Like, oh, what do you want for Christmas? Grace. That's what you should be asking for, because you've been giving it to everybody else all year. But give that gift to you. Enable that gift to be given to you, by you, for you. And understand that grace can actually allow you to see things in a comfortable from a comfortable point of view. It starts with grace. All right, so we're gonna take this quick deep dive, and then we're gonna close it out. And you're gonna have a great Friday. And you're gonna start with grace. You're gonna tell yourself that I, you can grow. You're gonna tell yourself that you can do it. You're gonna tell yourself that you're empowered, you're inspired, and you're a divine within your own self. Because starting with grace gives you the opportunity to unpack your harsh critic, which is you. For those who would say it like I'm my harshest critic, it gives you the process and the opportunity to unpack that. Because some of that stuff that you pour on yourself, you don't even have to carry it anymore. You probably have outgrown that whole harsh critic persona that you've been carrying for a long time. Unpack that. You don't have to carry it. You don't have to be tough no more. You don't even have to be like that. What if you give yourself grace? Now, one thing that I done skip all types of stuff, but uh, one thing that I want you to understand, that because we're talking about giving yourself grace, no, we're not talking about promoting mediocrity or complacency or procrastination. I just want to make sure I get that out the way, because some people may look at grace like, okay, you give yourself grace, but how long are you going to continue to give yourself grace? You're going to give yourself grace long as you need to. But that don't mean you stop doing the work. That don't mean you stop putting in the effort. But celebrate your victories, because you deserve it. Again, start with the same grace that you willfully or to everybody else, because sometimes our beliefs that we have on ourselves are not as strong as we have for the people we believe in. Like you may look at TV, you may look at like other people like, oh man, I believe in you. You telling everybody else, I believe in you, I believe in you. But when do you tell you that you believe in you? Some of us believe more in our kids than we believe in ourselves. Like, ouch. We believe more in the people that we hope for or the people that we pray for, but we don't even pray for ourselves the same way as we pray for everybody else, or we don't want the same as we for ourselves as we want for everybody else. Stop and ask yourself, like, what if I started with grace? What if I started to give myself the chance and the opportunity to breathe, to grow, to learn, to laugh, to cry, to love, to listen, to have space and to start over? Show up for you. If you don't remember nothing I'm saying today, show up for you. Show up for you the same way as you show up for everybody else. Empower you the same way as you empower everybody else. Grow you the same way as you want everybody else to grow. Love you the same way as you want others to have love for you or for others to love you, but love you the same way as you need the love that you need for you. Listen to you. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to your own heartbeat. Listen to the way that 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 you want other people to listen to you, because you may find it hard, like, oh, nobody listens to me, like, but have you listened to you? Be kind enough to forgive yourself for your own self-sabotage, because you were probably just afraid of success, or you was afraid to starting over, or you was afraid of starting alone. Let's start with grace, because we deserve it just as much as we want for everybody else. So just start with grace and be okay with it. And you are just as important as everyone else who you say is important to you. Take the first step and start with grace. All right. Man, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all this week. Um, yeah, Miss Queenie said, show up for yourself as loud as you clap for your favorite sports. Your children, your friends clap for you. And even when you are victorious, give yourself that round of applause because you deserve it, and be happy for you. All right, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Be strong in this day because you got it. But hey, Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. Y'all be blessed. Peace.